Unit 28 Theories of Origin of Caste System. Contents 28.1 Introduction, 28.2 Definition of Caste, 28.3 Theories of Origin of Caste System, 28.4 Caste System through Ages, 28.5 Caste not an isolated phenomenon, 28.6 Conclusion, 28.7 Further reading. Learning objectives. After you have read this unit, you will be able to give a definition of caste, outlines theories of caste as an institution, describes the caste system over the ages. 28.1 Introduction. It is perhaps true that the most frequently mentioned peculiarity of the traditional Hindu society is the institution of caste, or as it more frequently called, the caste system. The origin of caste is a subject which has given rise to a great deal of speculation. The Indian caste system, which is an age-old institution, even to this, there is no unanimity with regards to its origin. The caste structure is so complex that in spite of large number of researches done by social scientists, no valid explanations with regard to its origin could come out. This unit seeks to have a look at the various theories of origin of caste system, various definitions given by scholars, and also the issues that how the caste system has sustained itself through ages, what all forces are responsible for its sustainability. 28.2 Definition of caste. The word is derived from the Latin word castus, which means pure. The Portuguese word casta, which means race, lineage or pure stock, but caste was not used in Indian sense till the 17th century. The Indian use is the leading one now, and it has influenced all other users. As the Indian idea of caste was but vaguely understood, this word was loosely applied to the hereditary classes of Europe, resembling the caste of India, who keep themselves socially distinct. The Portuguese used this word to denote the Indian institutions, as they thought such a system was intended to keep purity of blood. On one hand, the learner is used to describe it in the broadest sense the total system of social stratification peculiar to India. On the other hand, it is used to denote four more or less distinct aspects of this total system, that is Varna, Jadi and Gotra. Careless use of the English word caste has been the source of the considerable confusion. Manu distinctively says that there are only four Varnas, Brahma, Kshatriya, Vaisya and Sudra. There is no fifth Varna, while he admits of over 50 Jadis. Varna, according to Manu, are four divisions into which the castes are grouped, but later scholars point out that even Manu confuses Jadi with Varna. The confusion is due to the fact that the Brahmin can be called both as Varna and Jadi. According to Risley, a caste may be defined as a collection of families or groups of families bearing a common name, claiming common descent from a mythological ancestor, human or divine, professing to follow the same hereditary calling, and regarded by those who are competent to give opinions as forming a single homogeneous community. The name generally denotes or is associated with a specific occupation. A caste is almost invariably endogamous in the sense that a member of a large circle denoted by the common name may not marry outside that circle, but within the circle there are usually a number of similar circles, each of which is also endogamous. Ketkar defines a caste as a social group having two characteristics. One, membership is confined to those who are born of members and included all persons so born. The members are forbidden by an inexorable social law to marry outside the group. Each one of such group has a special name by which it is called. Several of such small aggregates are grouped together under a common name, while these larger groups are but subdivisions of groups still larger which have independent names. Box number 28.1 Views on caste system. Kate says that caste is an endogamous group of collection of such groups bearing a common name, who by reason or traditional occupation and reputed origin are generally regarded by those of their countrymen who are competent to give an opinion as forming a single homogeneous community, the constituent part of which are nearly related to each other than they are any other section of society. Bentley has defined caste as a small and a named group of persons characterized by endogamy, hereditary membership, and a specific style of life which sometimes include the pursuit by tradition of a particular occupation and is usually associated with a more or less distinct ritual status in a hierarchical system. M. Snert defines caste as a close cooperation in theory at any rate rigorously hereditary, equipped with a certain traditional and independent organization including a chief and a council meeting on occasions in assemblies or more or less plenary authority and joining together at certain festivals, bound together by common occupations which relates more particularly to marriage and to food and to questions of ceremonial pollution, and ruling its members by the exercise of jurisdiction, the extent of which varies but which succeeds in making authority of the community more felt by the sanction of certain penalties and above all by final irrevocable exclusion from the group. Nesfield defines a caste as a class of community which disowns any connections with any other class and can neither intermarry nor eat or drink with any but persons of their own community. Manjudar and Madan defines caste as if a number of people constitute a group not because of physical togetherness but because they have some common interest and common ways to doing things, as a consequence of which stratifications of society into higher and lower groups emerges. Then their groups may be called as status groups. It's a status group is open to entry. That is, if anybody can become its member by fulfilling certain prerequisite conditions like obtaining a degree or paying an admission fee or earning a particular income, then the status group may be called as a class. If the recruitment is not free, that is, if a status group is not open to anybody but only those are its members who have certain ascribed attributes which cannot be acquired by other, then it is called a caste. Vogely, the French writer, concludes that the caste system divides the whole society into a large number of hereditary groups distinguished from one another and connected together by three characteristics. One, separations in matters of marriage and contract, which whether direct or indirect. Division of labor, each group having its theory or by tradition of a profession which their members can depart only with certain limits. 3. And finally, hierarchy, which ranks the groups as relatively superior or inferior to the other. This definition indicates the main characteristics of the system. Like the numerous definitions given by various scholars since decades, there are numerous theories of origin of caste system. 28.3 Theories of origin of caste system. As is evident from the various definitions given above, caste in India is a social institutions deriving sanctions from and intimately interwoven with the Hindu religion. Membership of a caste is compulsory and not a matter of choice. A person is born to it. It is practically impossible for individuals to change their caste. Each caste boasts of a peculiar tradition of culture and tries to preserve it tenaciously. The customs by which it lives are generally different in some respects from those of any other caste and are sometimes in marked contrast to those of any other caste. The caste system provides the individual members of caste with rules which must be observed by him in the matter of food, marriage, divorce, birth, initiation and death. Caste sanctions and structures will be govern all social, religious and economic activities. Reflections and action 28.1. What do you think are the most important aspects of caste? Read the entire unit before writing the answers in your notebook. It is obvious that such a system of social stratification divides the society into thousands of small hereditary and endogamous groups, each cluster of group having its own distinctive sets of customs and practices which together form a hierarchy. Each such group of caste is associated with one or more traditional occupational occupations and is related to the other by means of an elaborate division of labor. The caste system on which the traditional order of Hindu society is based is believed to have been in immemorial antiquity. The complex nature of the caste structure is evident from the fact that even after a century and a half of painstaking and meticulous research in the history and functions of social system, we do not possess any conclusive explanations of the circumstances that might have contributed to the formation and development of this unique system in India. As commented by D. N. Majumdar, there are today as many theories regarding the origin of the caste system as there are writers of the subject. Census of India done in 1931 made references of the following 5 theories with regards to the origin of caste. Hence, to simplify our endeavor, we too would follow the same reference. A. The divine origin. It may be pointed out that the most of the religious authorities, Shastras and Puranas have advocated the divine origin of the caste system. So the general feeling among the Hindus is that it has been established by the order of God, or at least by his wishes, so it should be religiously followed. As per the Purusha Sukta in Rig Veda, the people belong to 4 main castes, Varna, constituting the 4 body parts of the Purush, the creator. The Brahman was his Purusha's mouth, and Rajanya, Kshatriya, was his arms, and the Vaisya was his thigh, and the Shudra sprang from his feet. This view has also been expressed in most of Dharmashastras, in similarities and Puranas, Smridis and Puranas. Manu, whose pronouncement is cited as an authority, also supported this view. He further asserts that different castes arose as a series of crosses, first between the 4 Varnas and then between their descendants, and also by the degradation due to non-observance of sacred rites. Besides, the book of Manu also contains references to caste by the 10 primeval rishis, that is Mariji, Atri, Agiras, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kradu, Prajadas, Vaisishta, Bhrigu, and Narada. In the Mahabharata, the divergent views has been expressed. In Shanti Parva, Bhrigu has asserted that the world was created by Brahma and later on separated into caste in consequences of work. But in the Mahabharata, it is stated that the Lord Krishna creates Brahmins from his mouth, Kshatriyas from his arms, Vaisyas from his thighs, and Shudras from his feet. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that the 4-fold divisions of caste was created by God according to appointment of qualities and duties. B. Karma and Transmigration. Then there is the theory of karma and transmigration of soul, which seeks to justify the caste system. The various conditions of men, the highest and the middling and the lowest, are caused by karma. One's status in life is determined by one's actions in past incarnations. Whether a man enjoys or suffers is as a result of his own actions. His bad actions would bear bitter fruit, whether they are done overtly or covertly. In consequences of many sinful acts committed by one's body, voice, and mind, that individual in the next birth would become a bird or beast, or be born as a low caste person respectively. Those who performs good karma pass into superior existence, and those who lead an ideal life obtain nirvana from birth and death. Such beings, the idea of retributions and justice. Not only one is dissuaded from the bad life, but he is also persuaded into a meritorious life by a promise of absolution or of heaven or expiration of sins of himself and also his ancestors. Thus, even the most wretched man with his most degrading occupations remains satisfied with the belief that the miseries of his present life are the result of his sins in the previous life, and if he submissively performs his caste duties in this life, he will be born in a higher caste in the next life. Box 28.2 Formation of Castes. According to the racial theory of propounded by Herbert Risley in 1950 in his book The People of India, racial differences and endogamous marriages led to the origin of the caste system. According to him, caste system developed after emigration of Indo-Aryans from Persia, where the society was divided into four classes: priests, warriors, cultivators and artisans, and this they maintained even after coming there. They differed from the non-Aryans in culture and racial tracts. So in order to maintain their superior status, they started practicing hypergamy and imposed restrictions on pradiloma marriages. Risley 1951 described 6 processes by which the caste might have formed. They are enrolled of tribes of Aboriginal in the range of Hinduism, either under their own tribal designations or under a new caste name. Occupation as the chief factor in the evolution of caste, change in original occupation leading to subdivisions of the caste, which ultimately developed into separate caste, development of new caste due to neglect of established ceremonial practices, tendency of certain groups to preserve bygone traditions more rigidly, and the sectarian type whom started life as a religious as sects. Kroiber supports racial factors, but he also regards religious, cultural and occupational factors are insignificant. So to continue with the different theories on how the caste is formed, the karma and transmigration, we will start reading. Guria he has described the caste system as a Brahminical system and believed that the conquered non-Aryan race becomes the Shudras, who were debated for religious and societal activity of the Aryans. Manju Das believes that the clash of culture and contact of races led to social groupings. He also believes that the 3 superior classes assigned particular occupation for their members, and to maintain their superior status debarred other people from practicing such occupations. This led to hierarchical caste system. Thus, it appears that the racial factors has been accepted by most of the scholars, but still it cannot be taken as the only factor in the development of caste system. The European writers on the subject of caste origins knew about the racial differences between castes, higher and low, and consciously and unconsciously linked their findings to race. Vele wrote that the whole history of India from the earliest times had been one long story of color prejudice, and that more cruelty had probably been displayed there than in the rest of the world. Believed that the Aryan races who are right simply devised the iron system of caste to prevent the undermixing of dominant race with black inferior race. W.J. Thomas finds marked physical contracts in the population correlated with superior and inferior cultures, and this according to him is the basis of caste distinctions. Dudley Buxton thinks that the caste system is still of existence in dividing up the complex races of the Indian peninsula. Gillin thinks that it is possible that caste in India originated in the racial differentiations between various populations. McIlvar also leans towards the theory of the racial origin of caste structures. He says that the caste perhaps arose but of the superimposition of one endogamous community on another. Religion and pride of our race, which is such a superimposition, must be engendered. The color questions in the formation of caste has also been considered. The color questions at the root of the Varna system is apparent from the word Varna, which means color. The class which retained utmost purity of color by avoiding intermixture normality gained precedence in the social scale. The status alone depends upon the extent of Isolation maintained by the social groups. The Brahmins are white, the Kshatriyas red, Vaishyas are yellowish, and Shudras are black, as prescribed in the Mahabharata. Three higher Varnas have tried to maintain their claims to superior status by keeping to themselves the important professions. Karve, however, does not accept the view that the original meaning of Varna was color. She argues that in the early scanned literature and in grammatical work, Varna means class. Karve continued that at a later time, the word Varna to mean color, and the fourfold division of the ancient was then taken to be based on physical features, namely color. The social factors in the formations of the caste structure, in a sense admitted by most of the scholars, and yet the development of this caste system cannot be explained wholly on the basis of race. See, occupational theory. Occupational theory propounded by Nesfield advocates occupations as the lone factor for the development of this system. According to him, before this system, priesthood was not the exclusive monopoly of Brahmins. But later on, when humans and rituals became more complex, a section of people got themselves specialized and became the Brahmins. Due to the importance of sacrifices, such people came to be more respected. Later, they made this occupation hereditary. After this, other section of people also organized themselves for securing privileges. They did this in self-defense and also in imitation of group of people whom they held in high esteem. Box 28.3 Ranking and Caste. Different occupations grouped together men from different tribes into castes, which then borrowed the principles of endogamy and prohibition of commensality from the customs of the old tribes, and thereby solidified themselves into isolated units. The ranking of any caste as high or low depend upon whether the industry represented by the caste belonging to an advanced or backward stage or culture, and thus the natural history of human institutions afforded the chief clue to the gradation as well as the formation of the Indian caste. Thus the castes following the most primitive occupations like hunting, fishing, basket making, etc. were regarded as the lowest. The metal workers, agriculturists and readers were higher in rank, while the highest caste was one those who were priests and teachers. Slater, in his book Dravidian Elements in Indian Culture, emphasized the fact that caste is actually stronger in southern than in northern India, and suggested that caste arose in India before the Aryan invasion as a result of occupations becoming hereditary and marriages being arranged by parents within the society of common craft, because sexual maturity developed early and the trade secrets were preserved. As a result of magic and religious ceremonies also, exclusive occupational groups were built up. Marriages outside which became prejudicial and contradictory to practice. The Aryan invention had the effect of strengthening a tendency to associate difference of color and of strengthening also a tendency for caste to be placed in a scale of social precedence. He also maintains the existence in the pre-Arya society of Indian of an order of priced magicians. Denzil Ibsen explains caste as arising from a combination of tribal origins, functional gates, and a Levitical religion, and lays great stress on the tribe, and turning point in the career of a tribe comes when it abandons its wide and romantic life and adopts a particular occupation as its principal method of economic substance. This is the gate stage in caste history and is common as at some period of other of economic progress to all peoples in the world. The formation of gates of occupational groups naturally led to recognition of skills and importance of the various gates. In medieval times, the gates vied with one another for predominance in accordance with their economic status, exercising various degrees of pressure on the social life of the country. The exaltation of the priestly guild was soon followed by priest insisting on the hereditary nature of their occupational status, and this led to the formation of endogamous units. As more and more of the guilds wanted to conserve the social status and privileges they enjoyed, and to secure this permanently for the members of the guild. Later, various other guilds followed suit, and hierarchical organization established itself. Chappell and Kuhn trace the origin of caste to the absorption of aboriginal tribes, and they also explain the formation of new caste with reference to the emergence of new occupations. D. Tribes and religious theory. From very early times, there has been a gradual and silent change from the tribes to caste. This change has taken place in a number of ways, and it is believed that most of the lower or exterior caste of today were formerly tribes. Risley has mentioned four processes by which the transformation of tribes into caste is effected. The processes are the leading man of an aboriginal tribes having somehow got on in the world, became independent and landed properties, managed to enroll themselves in one of the most distinguished castes. 2. A number of aborigines embraced the tenets of Hindu religious sect and becomes Vaishnavas and giving up their tribal name. 3. A whole tribe of aborigines or a section of the tribe enrolling themselves in the rank of Hinduism under the style of a new caste which, through claiming an origin of remote antiquity, is really distinguishable by its name from any of the standard and recognized. 4. A whole tribe of aborigines or a section thereof becomes gradually converted to Hinduism without abandoning their tribal designations. Risley mentioned the caste of the Bhumij of Western Bengal, or a pure Dravidian race who lost their original language and now speak only Bengali. They worship Hindu gods in addition to their own, the tendency being to relegate the tribal gods to the women. And the more advanced among them employ Brahmins as family priests. They still retain a set of floristic exogamous subdivision closely resembling those of the Mundas and the Sandals, but they are beginning to forget the totems, and the names themselves will probably soon be abandoned in favor of aristocratic designation. The tribe will then have become a caste and will go on giving up its custom that are likely to betray its true descent. To these four processes, Manchudar has added a fifth, in which an individual member of an aboriginal or a semi-aboriginal tribe adopts the surname and gotra of a particular caste, manages to enroll himself as a member of that particular caste, and gradually intermarries with the members of that caste. His wealth and influence attract members of the caste, and he aspires to belong to thus in the long run he may establish himself as a permanent member of that caste. Cultural contracts with Hindu caste leads to the adoption by the tribes of Hindu beliefs, rituals, customs, and to the participation in Hindu festivals and attendance at the Hindu temple. The process of gradual evolutions from the aborigines to a Hindu class Hindu is a main features of social evolution in India, which government officers have noticed and commented upon it. We has present an excellent example of how from the aboriginal state, caste or group differences and distinctions arose gradually as men disclaimed earlier association and claimed new importance to themselves, both the divine and social. Similarly, there is a great parallel between the Munda social organization and the Hindu organization of Gotra and Varna. The Mundas are now found in certain parts of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, where they are known under three different names: Mundas, Sandals and Hos. The Sandals are divided into 12 main septs, of which the trace of one sept only could not found. Most probably the lowest sept has become completely Brahmanized or Kshatriyized, and their descendants are not likely to give out their secrets. Family and marriage. This explanation given by Senard 1930 holds that the principle of exogamy is the main basis of the Indian caste system. In his opinion, caste is the normal development of an ancient Aryan institutions which assumed a peculiar form because of peculiar conditions in India, like prohibitions of marriage within one's gotra, pollution by touch with the lower caste classes, prohibition of intercaste dining, etc. He has presumed a beginning of caste system in the form of Varna division into the Indo-Iranian period because of a fourfold division of society in the Rigvedic India. Risley mentioned that the invading Aryans displayed a marked antipathy to marriage and with personas of alien black race, and divided an elaborate system of taboo for the preservation of such union, but intermarriage could not altogether be prevented. 28.4 Caste systems through ages. Rigvedic society, basically tribal in character. According to Kate, the Vedic Indians were primarily pastoral, and this holds good for the Aryans known for the early parts of the Rig Veda. Aryans encountered the urban population of Harappa society and ultimately conquered them in war. Social adjustments between the Aryans and survivors of Harappa society and other people naturally led to the rehabilitation of some of the surviving tribes and chiefs into corresponding position, possibly of inferior nature in the new Aryan society. Early literature throws hardly any light on the process of assimilation between the Aryan commoners and those of the survivors of earlier society. It is likely that the most of them were reduced to what came to be known as the fourth Varna in the Aryan society. In essence, the Rigvedic Aryan society, and perhaps the society described by Atharva Veda, was characterized by the absence of sharp class divisions among its members, a feature which is usually found in early societies. The Sudras appears as a social caste only towards the end of the period of Atharva Veda. The Aryans, white-skinned, good-featured, making sacrifices and worshipping gods like Agni, Indra, Varuna, etc., distinguishable in ethnicity and culturally from the Dasyus, who were black-skinned, Krishna Kavach, flat-nosed, Anas, and of unintelligible speech, Mriduvacha, not sacrificing, Ayajnan, worshipping no god, Edevayu, and following strange customs, Anyavrada. Reflections and Actions 28.2 provide an outline of the various theories of caste, which one do you favor. Write your answer in your notebook. Gradually, the diners, instead of being exterminated, were taken as slaves. Das became in the later literature synonymous with slaves, and people were employed in menial jobs. It is most likely that the Dasyus, slaves, and Shudras were originally the names of a prominent tribe conquered and reduced to slave by the Aryans. By the time the Purusha Sukta was composed, the Dasa slaves of the Aryan conquerors have begun to call Shudras. The idea of ceremonial impurity of Shudras, involving prohibition of physical and visual contact with his appearance towards the close of Vedic period, that is 1000 to 600 BC. The first notice of such a marked degradation is found in the Stavada Brahmana, Sadapada Brahmana. Around the 600 BC to 300 BC, the difference between the Vaisyas and Sudras was getting narrowed by day by day. The occupation of the two castes were practically interchangeable. The Vedic society now advanced from the tribalism to feudalization. The proud higher castes, Brahmins and Kshatriya, began to adopt a more exclusive policy towards them. The social position of the Shudra underwent a change for the worse. Shudra ceased to have any place in the work of administration. The lawgivers emphasized the old fiction that the Shudra was born from the feet of the god and thus imposed on him numerous social disabilities in matter of company, food, marriage, and education. The idea that food touched by the Shudra is denied and cannot be taken by Brahmin is first expressed in Dharma Sutras. Shudra could not take part in Vedic sacrifices and sacraments. He came to be excluded from the Vedic sacrifices to such an extent that in the performance of certain rites, even in his presence, and sites are avoided. It has been said that the origin of untouchability may be traced back of pollution. Untouchability may be traced back to pollution. Untouchability has its origin in both hygiene and religion. Finally, the idea of untouchability has been traced to the theoretical impurity of certain occupations. Sharma thinks that one of the reasons for the origin of untouchability was the cultural lag of the aboriginal tribes, who were mainly hunters and Glatherans, is contrast to the method of Brahminical society, who possessed the knowledge of metals and agriculture and were developing urban life. Gradually, Brahmins and Kshatriyas withdrew more and more from the work of primary production and tendency to be hereditary in their own positions and functions. The Nishadas, Chandalas, and Pulkasas, the earliest mention of them is found in Yajurveda. Out of these, Chandalas and Nishadas were considered as untouchables in later Vedic society. The Ram Sutras and Pali text in Chandalas are early depicted as untouchables, and the Vedic texts kept the fifth caste altogether from the fourfold division of society. During this time, the Varna divided Brahminical society was underwent by the activities of heretical Sakas, Pathans, and Kusanas. Manu separated heretical sects and the inclusion of foreign elements such as the Bactrian Greeks, Sagas, Pathans, and Kusanas. Manu desperately tried to preserve Brahminical society not only by ordering rigorous measures against the Sudras but also by inventing social genealogies for the incorporation of foreign elements into Varna society. In order to assimilate numerous aboriginal tribes and foreign elements, Manu made a far greater use of the fiction of Varna Samkhara, intermixture of Varnas. When was Varna Sankhara, intermixture of Varnas, then was done by his predecessors. In the majority of instances, the mixed castes were lumped with the Sudra in respect of their hereditary duties. Gives a list of jadis. Many of them have changed in the name, and some of them have ceased to exist. He distinguishes the following categories: A. Form original Varnas. B. Castes which are supposed to be produced by mixtures with pure and mind castes. C. Caste which has lost their status on account of neglect or sacred rites. D. Caste due to the inclusion of persons from the community, e. slaves and their descendants. F. People excluded from the society, the community of four Varnas as well as their descendants. Manu mentions the old mixture of castes who were said to have originated from the intermixture of Varnas and ascribes a similar origin to a long list of mixed castes resolved themselves into three types. A. Castes produced from different pure castes. B. Those produced by the mixture of pure caste on one side and mixed on the other. C. And those produced from parents of mixed origins on both sides. Manu also advocated their higher caste should avoid all contact with the Chandalas and Swapagas. Chandalas and Swapagas should live outside the village. Their sole property consists of dogs and donkeys. Food vessels used by them would be discarded forever. Manu goes further that if a Brahman had contact with a Chandala or Antya, he would fall from his Brahminhood. The advent of foreign people served to loosen the shackles of Varna system. The law books of the Gupta period retain the distinction between Sudras and Untouchables. During this period, there seems to have been not only an increase in the number of untouchables but also some intensifications in the practice of untouchability. Feihen in 399 to 414 informs that when the Chandalas enter the gate of a city or marketplace, they strike a piece of wood to give prior notice of their arrival so that men may know and avoid them. After the death of Harsha in 1647, Sindh came under the occupation of Arab in AD 1712, and said then Muslims continued to come to India as travelers, traders, and merchandise. From the 11th century onwards, Muslims invention with cold-blooded murders, forcible conversions, looting and devastation of the countryside, breaking up of Hindus' idols, and desecration of Hindu temples began in India on a large scale, and the Indians experienced perpetually insecurity for fear of their culture being submerged under the impact of new forces. The Hindu became rigid rules against intermarriage and interdining. The principle of hereditary came into prominence by thousands AD. Pradiloma and Anuloma marriages are discouraged. The positions of Shudras improved. There was improvement in their economic conditions, but intellectually they remained rather backward because their higher education was largely restricted to the elite, the Brahmins and Kshatriyas. With continuous Muslim inventions, there was considerable effect on the Hindu social system. In 16th century, there was further hardening in the caste system by early marriage to prevent religious conversions. The Portuguese occupations of the south of part of India in early 16th century gave rise to fresh conversion of Hindu into Roman Catholics. In the medieval India, with resurgence of Hinduism by Sankaracharya, the Muslims and the Christian convert freely got reconverted into Hinduism. Further, Vaishnavites and Shaivism devotees during this crucial period held the touch of Hinduism. Various Shakti movement, various Bhakti movements by Acharya Ramanuja, Madhavacharya, Vallabhacharya, Kabir, Nanak, Chaitanya, Tulasi Ram, and many other did help check Islamization of India. Many convert them back to Hindu fold. By the time British consolidated their position in India, the Hindu social system had accumulated many undesirable features. The various policies the British rulers were geared mainly for the maintenance of law and order, for the collection of taxes, and for keeping an restricted market for British goods. Their centralized administration completely disrupted the old economy of the country. The old village economy, which for long remained unaffected by the political conflicts, and which are given so much of strength to the caste system because undisrupted under British rule. The land policy created a new class of landlords and moved millions in the ranks of tenants and agriculture laborers. The caste divided a Hindu society, which ensured employment and protection to its various caste groups, could not effectively challenge the British policy. For the first time, caste system faced a serious challenge for its foreign origin. When education and social reforms brought abolitions of untouchability, these movements have had an aim of cleansing the Hindu social order of some of its undesirable features. narrowing down the caste distinctions, changing the attitude of the high caste people towards the untouchables, town town establishment of industries in urban areas, introduction of railways led to the relaxation of caste prejudice, and new economic activities taken by the state gave birth to numerous non-caste occupation. A process was set into motion which began to attack the importance of caste as a ritual occupational division of society, the establishment of evil and criminal courts robbed by the caste system, and the caste panchayats of authority they once had even the members of particular caste. But at the same time, the British policy was not for the fostering unity and cohesion of various sections of people of India. Its policy was directed towards dividing and undividing. People at whatever level possible, be its religion, region, language, or caste. Introduction of separate electorates, of separate special recognition according to non-Brahmins caste in the south, not only contributed to the disruption of whatever solidarity India once possessed and fostered jealously between provinces, creeds, also hardened the caste distinctions. Thus, we see that the process of continuous adjustment and wider interactions was always at work. It is clear from the above discussion that caste system became more and more and which rigid over centuries. The forces which led to origin of caste are also the forces which led to the sustainability of the caste system as such. 28.5 Caste not an isolated phenomena. Social institutions that resembles caste in one respect or another are not difficult to find elsewhere. The caste system has survived in a perfect form in India than elsewhere, but Hockart shows that the Indian caste system is not an isolated phenomenon as it is thought to be. Comparable forms still exist in Polynesia and Melanesia, and that clear traces of them can be seen in ancient Greece, Rome, and modern Egypt. Houghton finds analogous institutions which resembles caste in one or more of its aspects in various parts of the world, like Ceylon, Fiji, Egypt, Somalia, Rwanda, Burundi in modern Africa, and Burma. Guri traces elements of caste outside India, like Egypt, Western Asia, China, Japan, America, Rome, and tribal Europe. In ancient Persia, there were the Adharvas, prized and other Atyastas, various Vasya, Shuant, cultivators, Huitis, patricians. The only important difference lay with regard to the fourth class, which was the artisans class in Persia and the servile or Sudra class in India. In Western Roman Empire, there were occupational hereditary groups as created by the Theodosian Code. Such group would have been created only if there are elements of social segregations in the society. In Sweden in the 17th century, marriages outside the caste were punished. According to the German law, the marriage of a man belonging to the high nobility with a woman is not entitled to the rank of her husband, nor is the full right of inheritance possessed by her and her children. The upper caste Muslims, namely the Sheikhs, Sayyids and Pathans, are intensely cautious of their lineage and avoid weaving martial relations with the low caste Muslim like Ansaris and Julas. 28.6 Conclusion. We have come to realize that the major theory of the origin of caste is rooted in the Hindu myths and legends. The religious text, according to divine outside origin to the caste system in India. Interestingly, it is believed that the birth is a high class is in fact a reward of good deeds performed in the previous birth. Most people belong to upper class caste seeks to arrange marriages within their own caste so as maintain their superiority. 28 points and further reading. Srinivasa M. and 1968 Caste in Modern India and Others, London Essays Publishing House, Asia Publishing House. Eleanor Daniel, 1958, The Passing Away of Traditional Society, Free Press of Geneva. So this is the end of the unit 28, Theories of Origin and Caste System.